Hi, I'm Karen Morgan. I'm a volunteer with AARP Maryland during Walktober month. Yay! Which is why I'm wearing my little handy dandy Walktober shirt. And that's why Chef Christine is walking as we speak. So we are here today to bring you a cooking demo, another awesome cooking demo from our awesome Chef Christine. Chef Christine, what are we cooking today?
Karen, it is so nice to see you again. You
It's
know how
nice
much
to
I
see you
love cooking
too.
with you.
Aw, me
So
too.
I was thinking, we're getting into fall now, and I love everything crispity crunchity, right? But my heart doesn't like it quite as much. So what I'm going to show today is how to make a super crispy chicken, like a little chicken cutlet, but kind of how to replicate an air fryer in your own oven if you don't have one. Because a lot of folks have air fryers now, but a lot of folks
Mhm.
are like, no, I don't need another gadget. So I can show you how to kind of get the same effect,
Mhm.
but in your own oven. You ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Count me
Do
among
you
the
do
unwashed who
you
does not have an air fryer.
I was going to ask if you have one or not because
Mm-mm.
it took me a while to hop on that train. And I'll tell you, I grabbed myself an air fryer simply because I'm cooking for two. I'm not cooking for a huge family now. And during the summer, it was terrific because I didn't heat up my oven. I could just
Right.
use this. I use it a lot more than I thought I would. But I will also tell you, I did some research and I got a little different air fryer. So we can talk about the air fryers too as I kind of go through and show you what I'm doing. Now, we're going
Awesome.
to do, and I think I may have shown something like this before, but you can use this with anything. Asparagus, if you want to do a little coated asparagus, like a crispy asparagus, or zucchini coins. Now, I know we're coming out of
Oh.
zucchini season, but all of that, you can use this for all sorts of different things. And I'm just going
Mhm.
to do some chicken because it's so easy. And you had said before, I never do like hard things. Like my MO is not, let me show you. What did you say?
Debone a
How to
duck.
how to bone a duck. And
Yeah.
I could, but
But
here's what
but
we're
you know, we
gonna
can't have
do.
we can't have blood on during the demo, so no.
I tell you, I had to. There's this thing called glove boning that they teach you in culinary
Oh,
school,
oh
and it is
yeah.
basically we would glove bone quail, and quail are super tiny. And basically, what you do is you take all of the bones out, pluck the whole carcass out
Yeah.
without cutting into the actual bird. It's crazy.
Amazing
It's crazy.
technique.
It's I
I've
yes, and
I've
I
seen
mean,
that
could
on
I do it
MasterChef.
today?
It was like, wow,
I
that's
don't even
amazing.
know. I know. So, all right. Well, we'll keep it simple today. So, we're going to do this French method. So, all of you will be fancy and French, right away. And we're doing something called à l'anglaise, which means English, I think, which is funny, but it's how to do a nice coating. And if you've ever taken something and just tried to stick it into breadcrumbs, it doesn't quite work for you that way because
Right.
it just doesn't have enough staying power. So here's what we're
Right.
going to do. We're going to season some flour. Now you can season your flour or you can season your breadcrumbs. I'll tell you what, let's go with the breadcrumbs. And I'm going to use, I have my little scooper here. I'm going to use a little bit of smoked paprika because that stuff is incredible. I'm going to use a little bit of garlic powder, about a teaspoon. I use half as much of the paprika. And then you can go with a little bit of onion powder if you're feeling that vibe. I like that too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to use a little bit though today. And then always a little bit of salt, a little bit of salt in my
Always.
flour. Now everybody freaks out. They think that's a lot of salt. Trust me when I tell you that is not a lot of salt. That was
And it's so
maybe a quarter
critical to
teaspoon.
punching up flavors
It
in the
is.
food. You have to have salt.
Yeah, I was. at a women's heart conference this past weekend, and it was incredible. But you know, it was low sodium food. Like everybody's got to handle it their own way. So if you know you've got to avoid all salt, right? I can have a little bit of salt, but I really have cut it back. And I always like to say I'm really good at salt, and people laugh at me, but I'm really good at seasoning. I would like to think. So I put just a pinch in here, and then we're going to do a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Because, I mean, what's a cup of water when you're drowning? Also, Parmesan has a lot of bang for its buck, right?
It sure does.
It's not like a wimpy kind of cheese. Parm has a lot of what we call umami, right? And that's that depth of flavor. So we love that. And you can grate it yourself. And I have a couple of eggs that I did here. Now let me show you how to do this chicken. And I am super squidgy when it comes to raw meat. So you can see I am not going to use my wooden cutting board at all. And do you ever use chicken thighs, Karen?
I heart chicken thighs.
I heart chicken thighs too. And I'll tell you what, you can get boneless, skinless, and they are ready to go for you. Now listen, bone in is always my favorite. But
that's my favorite.
It is, because just simply put, when you eat the poultry and the bones, it's cooked with the bones, it's going to have more flavor. But if you have survived a heart attack and you're trying to be good, you may want to go with the boneless, skinless thighs. And they're less expensive than the
They're definitely less expensive.
They are. And I love them. I really do. I feel like they've got more flavor. They've got more going on. Now, here's what I've got. I have my handy dandy rack from my air fryer. Now, this is my air fryer right here. It looks like R2-D2. I know. A lot of air fryers have a bucket in them. They have like a drawer, I guess, and the holes in the bottom. I didn't want that. I wanted something with a little more capacity. So I got an air fryer that has 2 racks like this on it, or in it. And the way that the air fryer works is that there is a fan in it that circulates the air. And typically with an air fryer or a convection oven, you're going to drop the temperature by 25 degrees from what your recipe says. Now, very cleverly, a lot of manufacturers, if you're heating something up that's already been made, they'll have, air fryer cooking directions, which is wonderful. But what you can do if you want to replicate this technique at home, you just need to get yourself a cooling rack and a baking sheet. Okay. Now, this is not for baking cupcakes. This is not for making cookies. This is for getting your food really crispy. Because what happens when you lift your food up off the tray is you allow the air to circulate all around it. Okay? Very, very important, because now you can get going around. I make some very crispy chicken wings that you would never know were not fried. I swear. Now check this out. This is our technique. Let me move this here. And I try to be very judicious because we're going to use a method called wet hand, dry hand. This is my wet hand because I picked up my chicken with it. You will always mess this up. So if at home, if you make a mistake here, please do not freak out. Just wash your hands. No big deal. So I use the flour to dry whatever it is I've got here. So if I'm doing zucchini rings or asparagus, I still want to roll it in the flour because we want to make sure any moisture is off. Now, got that, dry hand, drop that sucker into some eggs. Okay, I don't know if you can see that there. Make sure, so good. Make sure you get your eggs there. And then I want to make sure it's coating everything. coating everything, and I let it drip off a little bit.
Okay.
And then I drop that puppy right in there. Oh, there I am. Hello, me. All right. So,
And fabulous hairdo, by the way.
oh my gosh, it's all by nature. It's all by nature today. Alrighty,
She's
so
the
check this
best
out.
hairstylist
Yeah.
sometimes. Sometimes.
All right. So then I can take my dry hand once I get a little cover, and I'll like scoop a little over,
Sure.
right? If that's the vibe I'm feeling. And there I go. Now, if I'm feeling particularly frisky, I'll double dip. And not the flour. You only have to do the flour the one time. But
I
I'll go
thought you
back
weren't.
in
I
there.
thought you were never supposed to double dip,
I know.
Christine.
Well, I'm not licking my fingers, am I? Ugh. Ugh. All right. And I can make a little double coat here. Now, if you're doing this at home and you're cooking, I don't know if you cook any of your chicken in the oven, because I love to, a little butter, a little oil,
yeah.
and saute it on top of the stove. No, can't do it. Can't do it anymore. All right. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to, oh my gosh, that's so good. I'm going to
That
shake
looks
it off.
awesome. Well,
Shake
let
it
me.
off.
Can I ask you a question, Chef?
Yeah.
While you're shaking your groove thing there. So if you don't eat wheat products, if you're gluten free, can you do the same technique with like, say, a gluten free flour?
Yeah. Or how about we get a little fancy? Hold on one sec. I'm going to use just a little bit of cooking spray.
Okay.
And pop this baby in here. And I'm going to go 400 degrees for about 15 minutes. Now, let me tell you, if you are gluten free, what a time to be gluten free. Here I am. Because
Yes.
you can use, sorry, you got to make sure you get those chicken hands really clean. If you are gluten free, how about some rice flour? I'm in love with rice flour. It makes everything so darn crispy. Oh my gosh. And it's ground rice. It is absolutely gluten free.
Mhm.
So try that. If you want to use a gluten free flour, use a gluten free flour.
Oh,
See what
okay.
works for you.
Maybe cornstarch or maybe almond flour. Could you use almond
You
flour?
could do. So almond flour is going to give you a little different vibe, but it will
Okay.
get really nice and crunchy. I would try to stick with like the rice flours or the blends. There are all sorts of blends out there you can use. Oh my goodness, this is so good. Look at this guy.
That
Oh,
looks awesome.
I'm telling you, it's really good stuff. Ooh, that's the oyster. Do you know about the oyster
No,
on a
tell me about the
thigh?
oyster.
The oyster is part of the chicken thigh that's right next to a bone, and it's the
Oh,
prize. It's like the filet mignon of the chicken. It's this little tiny thing. So
mm.
check this out. Let's pull a different knife. Let's say, oh, it's so.
And now we've got another question in the chat too. If you did this prep, like the dipping on, and then you
I know what you're
decided to
asking.
cook it on the stove,
Yep.
could you do that, or would the chicken come out more soggy?
Oh no, you can totally cook this on the stove. Listen,
Awesome.
I am all about trying to make it easy and make it a little healthier because it's important. I have lived a life of reckless abandon where I have not cared about the health of the food. And now it's really important. So if you're going to cook it on the stovetop, you're going to want to get your heat up to a certain level, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
definitely are going to have some fat in the pan. When we do it
Yes.
this way, because we're using thighs and they have a little more, dark meat is always going to have a little bit more fat to it, just a little bit. We're not talking like ground beef burgers kind of thing. But because we're using a moister, I know we hate that word, but cut of poultry here,
Mm-hmm.
that helps us to not have to use quite so much fat. Now, fat is what makes things get brown, right?
Yes.
Makes them get. I always think about greasing myself up in the baby oil in the 80s, right? This is not complexion that should have ever been even out in the sun. But, the idea was that oil is fat and it would make you brown. Same thing
Yes,
here.
I'm
So
aware of that.
I take some nonstick cooking spray. And if you have one of those, have you ever seen those pumps that you can load oil into?
Yes.
Have you ever seen those? So if you have one of those, you just give it a quick little glaze with the oil, shazam.
Oh,
And it
wow.
is, listen, it's, you can't, I know you can't hear it, but it is so crispy.
It looks
It really is.
crispy.
15 minutes, that's it. It really
Oh my
is
goodness.
good.
And what you use breadcrumbs this time.
Panko, breadcrumbs, whatever you have. Panko is a Japanese breadcrumb. It's a
Right.
type of breadcrumb, super jagged. So they
Yes.
tend to make things very crunchy.
And could you add something like maybe lemon zest to the breadcrumbs to kind
Oh my
of
gosh. Karen, where are you headed? I love it. All right, so if we
well,
did
it was
that,
actually a comment in the chat. I
I
would
love
take
it.
credit for it, but since you called me out, I have to credit one of our commenters. That was her idea.
Well, she's a genius because
Yeah.
you can alter this whole idea. I'm going to make a sandwich where I'm going to layer some arugula on
Oh, I
the
love
sandwich.
arugula. Love arugula.
I
It's
love
my
arugula.
favorite leaf.
Green, yeah. It's a little
Peppery.
peppery. There is a little Italian restaurant here in Frederick. It's a little tiny place. They make all their pasta fresh, and they have this sandwich that I am so inspired by. It is so darn fantastic. And it's a chicken cutlet with arugula and focaccia bread and an aioli, which is like a garlicky pesto mayonnaise.
Yes. You're killing me.
It is so good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the arugula, the chicken, and then so I don't have to do the mayo on it. I'm going to do a little bit of an herb oil and then some balsamic glaze.
Oh,
Not going to load it
yum.
up. Yeah, but it is. I mean, I'm telling you, this is a
That
win.
sounds awesome. And you know, getting back to the lemon zest, it's like our genius also mentioned that lemon, arugula, and parmesan would be amazing. And yes, she is
so
absolutely correct.
And you could
She's
make a little sauce. You could do a little
yes.
sauce. Now, if you want to go mayo, you could squeeze a little lemon juice in there. Or if you're going a little healthier, you want to use the yogurt, something like that. You could put a little of that in there, maybe a little bit of fresh garlic. Gorgeous.
Yay.
Gorgeous.
Now, I have another question for you, Chef Christine, because as someone who does not have an air fryer, what about what if you have a convection oven? Could you
Convection
do
oven?
this
Gorgeous.
same
idea.
process with the convection oven?
Yep. Same idea, but lift your food. Lift the food up. Don't put it directly on the tray. This is just a regular old cooling rack.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is nothing fancy, but it will take the heat in the oven. And then you don't want to, I have seen college students who put the food directly on the oven rack, right? Because they're like, isn't that what you do? No, that's not what you do. So make sure you have something under it to catch whatever comes off. But I mean, come on. Look how
That
gorgeous
looks awesome. And it's so healthy. And as one of we have a comment again saying, you know, it's great to talk about healthy alternatives like air frying. That's definitely a healthy alternative to deep fat frying. And, you know, we're in Walktober month and we want our food to energize us so that we can go for those walks. You know, I mean, it's fall season, the leaves are falling. I went on a walk. Monday was gorgeous. Just absolutely gorgeous in Fort Washington. But
love it.
You know, it was great to like have the right fuel before taking that walk. And this is great fuel for that.
Listen, I am never going to be food is fuel, and that's the only way I look at it. I love food. I made a career, a life out of food. But I'm not stupid. I know that I have to make changes as I go. And I listen, French fry all day, baby, but for everyday life so that you can have your treats and you can splurge without it having a major effect on you health-wise. Something like this, a great way to crisp it up, a great way to add a lot of flavor and cut back on the fat, cut back on the bad stuff. It's all about amping up flavor in different ways and finding the techniques that allow you to replicate the stuff you love.
Yeah, and there's so many things out there. There's so many substitutes for food, but we still crave crunchy. We still crave salty. We still crave sweets, but there are ways to work around all of that. So, like with air frying, you can get the crunch without the damage that you do from sticking something into, hot fat, or, the same thing with like Parmesan has a salty element to it. So if you're worried about adding salt, you season your food correctly. You don't need to add salt after you've cooked it because the
Right.
food's already seasoned
Right.
and it tastes
And
great.
by using that Parmesan judiciously, right? Like I said, when I poured it in, Parmesan has lots of flavor. It's got lots of depth of flavor. You do not have to use a lot of it here. Really,
Right.
proportionally, I'm not using very much at all. I mean, I don't even know if I've got a tablespoon per chicken thigh. I'm not using a ton of it, but it is just something to be aware of.
Yeah.
I'm trying to use the things that have a lot of flavor. And speaking of a lot of flavor, I pulled it out so I wouldn't forget. This is my handy dandy acorn squash. And this is what we're doing in our Saturday cooking class. So we have a
Oh,
free AARP Maryland sponsored cooking class where I'm going to show you how to make a meal. And I know some of you are like, that's a doorstop. That's not going to be anything we're cooking. But I promise you, we are going to make a super hearty and totally delicious stuffed acorn squash for 2 people. And then we're going to make a Dutch baby for dessert with some sauteed apples because
oh,
it's apple season. And I know we still have space in that class. So if
we
you
sure
go,
do.
yep, if you go and check out AARP Maryland, you will see there's a link there. I would love to cook with you on
Oh,
Saturday.
absolutely. I'm registered. I'm
I
ready.
love it. I love it. And that's that. That's how easy that is. And I'm going to have another one done by the
Oh,
time I get
that's
going here.
awesome. And please register today if you're interested in this cooking class, or even if you want to know how to cook with a doorstop, register with this to find out that it's not a doorstop but an acorn squash. And
It's so good.
perfect for fall. Perfect for fall.
It's so good. It even freezes. It
Oh,
even
yum.
freezes. So if you're cooking for one, perfection. Because I'm going to show you how to do this. You can have one for lunch on Saturday, and then you can freeze the other half. Easy breezy, lemon squeezy.
We are getting there. People are excited in the chat.
Good.
One person said that her kids love Dutch babies and they don't bother to share. Now that could be a family problem. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I will make individual. I'll make myself one if I'm home on a morning like this. I have a little tiny skillet that I use that I'll make a single serving Dutch baby just for myself.
Oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds
So
awesome.
there it is.
And all of this, you can walk around. You can walk around your
You can
kitchen,
walk
get the steps
around.
in, have that little Dutch baby. Why not?
I like
It
how
would
you
be
think.
awesome.
Walktober, baby, Walktober.
Walk. We are walking. We
All
are
right,
walking.
Karen,
Sure.
you're
We're walking all month.
amazing. Thank you for cooking with me today.
Oh, you're amazing too, Chef Christine. Total heartthrobs. I appreciate it. I'm hungry, but I appreciate the the food.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And please sign up for our CVent for our full cooking class on Saturday, October 15th. In the meantime, get out there, get walking because it's Walktober month. Thank you, Chef Christine.
We'll see ya.
See ya.